Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and remember to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon. We only saw one new vehicle at Cyber Rodeo, and people got to go inside it, video it, and share it with us too. We didn't get to see some new long-range Model Y with 400 miles of range, or some new Performance Y with even more outstanding acceleration. No, all we got was a standard range Model Y. Granted, it did happen to be all-wheel drive, and was even worthy of sporting the Plus name too, but no 4680 long range, let alone long range Plus. Yet we were also shown all these new 4680 cells and battery packs at the same event. In fact, Tesla were not hiding the cells from us. It was even made clear enough to count exactly how many cells went into each battery pack. Now, I've been trying to juggle around several different vehicles that we know about and work out how many of them are actually the same vehicle and what kind of cells they use. We'd been told in the earnings call that they were making 4680 Model Ys at Texas, and even been driving them. We had a new Tesla registered with the EPA, an all-wheel drive Model Y. We also had a hacker discover a standard range Plus being made in Texas, and we've been witnessing these new Model Ys being parked outside of the Austin factory. Is it possible that all of these are actually the same vehicle, in that Tesla are making this new Model Y standard range Plus all-wheel drive with 4680 batteries in Texas with this EPA efficiency rating? I mean, it wouldn't be too hard an imaginable stretch, would it? In fact, if we estimate each 4680 cell to be around 90 watt-hours, based on having 5 times as much energy as an 18 watt-hour 2170 cell, as we manage to count all the cells in a 4680 structural pack, then this battery pack comes in at 74.5 kilowatt-hour capacity. And if we also estimate the battery size from the EPA figures, well, for the long-range Model Y, we have 28 kilowatt-hours per 100 miles, so with a range of 330 miles, it took 92.4 kilowatt-hours to charge the car. With an 80 kilowatt-hour usable battery, that would be an efficiency of 13.4%, i.e. the amount of energy that is taken from the grid compared to the amount that actually goes into the battery. If we use the same efficiency for the Model Y all-wheel drive, then we would estimate that the Model Y all-wheel drive has a usable battery of 67.5 kilowatt-hours. Therefore, this would not match the energy stored in the 4680 packs, but perhaps the 4680 chemistry is not reaching that higher level. This would mean just 81.5 watt-hours per 4680 cell, which would only mean 4.5 times more energy than a 2170. But there are others out there with sources who claim more accurate figures for the amount of energy in each 4680 cell. We don't know how reliable these are, but they claim 98 watt-hours per 4680 cell compared to 18.2 watt-hours for a 2170 cell. With 828 cells, then we're at 81 kilowatt-hours for a standard range all-wheel drive Y with 4680 batteries. We're getting less range with 4680 with a larger battery than 2170, which doesn't seem likely. We saw the new battery pack. It's absolutely beautiful when compared to the old battery tray of the 2170. It's an engineering marvel. The thing is, we're basing a lot of these figures on the EPA specs, as if their data is perfectly accurate. But after talking to some people in the community who I deem credible, apparently there are a lot of errors in these reports. It is strange that the weight of this new all-wheel drive Model Y would be identical to the weight of the 2170 long-range version if the new version was using 4680 cells. In fact, even if it was using 2170 cells, there should still be fewer cells and the weight should still be less. I think this is where the LFP theory creeps in and is the only thing you could base it on, but I would say LFP weight would still be higher than this, and of course every other single metric is saying it's not LFP either. Alright, so it's highly likely this new pack is in the region of 67.5 kilowatt-hours then. If there are 828 cells, then that is 81.5 watt-hours per cell, which should be less than 5x the energy of a 2170 cell. But this was just a cell and doesn't include any chemistry improvements. This would just be the efficiency of the 4680 cells compared to the 2170 cells. It doesn't even factor in structural packs. As we know, the long range and all-wheel drive get just about identical MPG equivalents as well, with the long range being 122 mpge and the standard range being 123 mpge. Apparently, there'll be several versions of the 4680 cells with improved chemistry over the years. They will keep getting more energy dense, and perhaps it won't be until then when we see the actual results of what we were told on battery day. So maybe these current 4680 batteries are still using the same chemistry as 2170, or perhaps at least the same anode, i.e. no silicon in them yet, which was the major chemistry advancement. Except the thing is, there is instantly about a £500 saving in mass just from having a structural battery pack, and an instant 16% range increase from using 4680 cells that use less casing and save a lot of weight as a result. Therefore, even if the chemistry was going to be only a slight improvement over time, well, the structural battery pack and cells with a different form factor would be noticed instantly. So, if there are 828 cells in there, then how could a standard range plus only get that little amount of range? Well, some of the cells there could actually be empty. Why have them at all then? Well, what if Tesla needs them for the structure still? This is a possibility. Of course, this would also assume that the mass of the vehicles the EPA state are incorrect. And Elon said they were delivering these vehicles now. To whom though? No one can order a standard range plus Model Y all-wheel drive on the web. Also, Tesla can't even sell vehicles from Texas. Maybe they were sold out of state or something. Either way, it's strange. And who are these lucky recipients of this new Model Y? Just employees? Could it be that if Tesla launched the new Model Y long range or long range plus, that it would have Osborne the current long range? I actually made quite a few videos on this last year about discussing the transition of introducing a new Model Y 4680. My theory was that they would just launch a long range plus, charge an extra $5,000 for it or so, no Osborne effect, and no consumers hesitant to order in case they receive the dreaded 2170 version. There were plenty of ways to get around it. What Tesla are playing at now would not be a necessary way to circumnavigate the Osborne effect. So what conclusions can I draw about this vehicle? Well, I can't, can I? You've seen the same numbers. I can't draw any conclusions that match all of the numbers. So we're left with several theories. There are 828 4680 cells in this standard range, and it has 67.5 kilowatt-hour battery. This would mean that potentially some of the cells in there are empty or rejects, and solely used for the structure. This would also mean that the EPA weight is wrong, and it would also be a disappointing range if this is all we were seeing from the battery day technology. Another option is there are 828 4680 cells, and it actually has around 75 kilowatt-hour battery. Then the range is being limited with software to somehow affect the EPA rating, as to not let too much information out about the 4680 efficiencies or specifications. I don't know how possible this actually is to do. This also means that EPA weights are incorrect again. Or the other option is it is somehow a 2170 vehicle, which does seem to match all the specifications the closest, including the EPA weights. But the thing is, it's made in Texas, and Tesla are only making 4680 vehicles there. This is all very strange. So, sorry, this gives us more questions than answers. Perhaps something will be revealed in the earnings call, but from an overall view, I think one of two things is happening. Either Tesla are trying to sandbag the specs of the 4680 vehicle, or Tesla are trying to hide how much trouble they're having with the 4680 battery line. That line was never going to be easy, and they bet the future of the company on it. We were told Tesla would produce 100 gigawatt hours this year on battery day. We think they've reached close to 200 megawatt hours, or 0.2% of that amount. Perhaps these new cells don't have the new chemistry yet either. Even if it took a whole extra year until they sort out the 4680 batteries, it would still be worth the wait as an investor. I guess it's just a bit disappointing to see how far behind they are, and also to not have been given any updates from Elon or Tesla about the progress. This is also likely why we see continual delays with the Cybertruck, as it depends on 4680 cells. I hope we get an update on the earnings call, or someone is smart enough to ask a question about it. I was just looking for some confirmation on whether this was a time to leverage my position further, but I'm not there yet. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.